In the last lesson, we went over how to get a background image showing up on your Pi badge, and today what we're going to do is we're going to add a sprite, a single spaceship, it turns out, that will be able to move with the D-pad eventually. The first thing we're going to do is scroll down and actually get another set of images. We're going to get this one called Space Aliens, and that's going to have our spaceship for us. So we're just going to copy it to downloads, and then we're going to just take it like we did last time and copy it over to our Pi badge. So now we have two separate sets of images that we can use. This one's going to be for the background, and this one is going to be for the spaceship that we're going to add on top of it. So last time we used some libraries that CircuitPython gave us. We grabbed that background image and we put it into a variable. We then took that background image and created a grid of 10 by 8, 16 by 16 squares and called that our background. We then set up our display to run at 60 Hertz, and then we took that display and we added a background to it, and then we made it show up. And this is going to be used for our gaming loop eventually, but not quite yet. So today what we're going to do is we're going to add that other image. So we're going to call this other image, it's also an image bank, so we're going to call it image bank sprites because it's going to hold our sprites, and it's going to copy much like we had last time, because it's the same kind of getting the image in. Once again, I'm just going to copy the name of the image so that we know it's exactly perfect. So that sets up our image bank again. What we're going to do now is we're going to create what it's called a sprite sheet of those images. So we're going to go into that, sorry, not a sprite sheet, a single sprite. We're going to go into that sprite sheet that we have that's right here, and we're going to grab out a single image. And we're going to call that image ship because it's going to be a spaceship. So we're going to go to stage.sprite this time. So stage, from up here, this library, it has a method called sprite, and we're going to go into this image bank that we just had, and what we're going to do is we're going to pick off the fifth image. So I'm just going to go back to the image, or the sprite bank, so this one here. So the fifth image, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is the image that we're going to add. It always starts counting at 0. So the fifth image, and we're going to place it on the screen. And where are we going to put it on the screen? The X location is 75 and the Y location is 66. So just to remind you, in most video games, and in particular this one when we design it, this top left-hand corner is the origin. X increases this way across, just like you would normally see in math class, but Y does not increase up. Y increases down. So we're going to go 75 pixels across and then 66 pixels down, and we're going to put the spaceship right about here. That's the goal in what we're going to be doing. So this grabs that image bank, takes out a particular image from it, and saves it into this variable, and it knows where it's supposed to go. We're then going to add it to this layers as well. So we're going to add our ship, and just like we did last time, we're going to put it inside square brackets. So we have a list of just one ship, and we have a list of just one background. This is going to make more sense why we're doing it later, like this. And then what we're going to do is inside here, instead of just showing it once on the background, we're actually going to start rendering it over and over and over again. I'm just going to add a couple comments because inside this game loop, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get user input. Now, right now we're not going to do that, but later on that's going to be the first thing we do. The next thing we do is we update our game logic. So we get user input, the user might press a D-pad button or A or something. Then we update our game logic. What's supposed to happen with this input is the character supposed to move or whatever. And then when we're all done, we're going to redraw, but not everything. The background is just going to stay where it was. It's the ship that we're going to, in this case, update. So we're just going to redraw sprites. And the reason we do this is so that, didn't want IntelliSense to do that. The reason is we don't want the PyBadge to try to refresh the entire screen 60 times a second because it has a quite small processor. So it could just draw the background once for us and then just move the sprite around, but leave the background where it is, and that's much more efficient. So then we're going to take game and we're going to render sprites, and the sprite that we're going to render is just our ship because that's the only sprite that we have at the moment. And then this command game.tick, what it does is because we're refreshing 60 times a second and this loop is happening over and over and over again, what it's going to do is it's going to come in here, it's going to redraw the sprite, and then it's going to wait. And it's going to make sure that 1/60th of a second has occurred. And if it's not, it's just going to wait there until it does, and then it's going to come back again. So this is going to guarantee that we have a 60 frames per second refresh rate. So we're going to make sure that we add that in. And then we're just going to save this. And we're going to go down, and hopefully when it comes back, oh, there it is. We have a single spaceship showing up in the middle of the screen. Now that sprite isn't moving around. In the next lesson, we're going to get some input from the user on the D-pad, and then we'll be able to move that sprite around.